Is your AFL club in a premiership window? Now, what is a premiership window? How long does the premiership window last for? Well, basically, it's a period of years where your AFL club should be winning the flag and is giving themselves the best opportunity to do it. And we're going to be doing this and organising all 18 AFL clubs into this tier list, starting from flag in the next 3 years guaranteed. That is, they are so into their premiership window that I don't see a world really where they don't win a flag in the next 3 years. You've got now or never, relatively lucky to win a flag in the next few years, I should mention as well, but they're sort of in that window, but maybe there are some teams that are way more prone to win that flag. Unlikely, but potential for a flag. They're the teams that they probably won't in the next few 3, 4, 5 years, but you know, there's still a slight possibility. The premiership window is just ajar, nearly shut, but not quite shut yet. And then we finish off with premiership window shut as fuck. They ain't winning shit. And that is for the next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. No, you know, everything here is sort of the next 2 to 5 years kind of is what I'm thinking of, because otherwise it's not a window. You know, a window. You get what I'm saying? You get what you're picking up while I'm putting down? You'll get me? Okay, anyway, Brisbane, I think, do not go and flag in the next 3 year guaranteed. Why? It's a hard one. Lachie Neale, Zorko, Danaher, super key players. Danaher's retired. Zorko is in great form, but the age does matter. You know, he's not going to be this good in 2-3 years. Neale as well, even though he's still amazing, eventually he's going to start to regress. They are picking up Ashcroft. I mean, the draft hasn't happened at the time recording. Fuck knows when this will come out, but by all accounts, the Ashcrofts are both going to be at Brisbane by all accords, and he's a very good player, the younger Ashcroft. So, you know, a lot of people will be thinking, well, why are you here? The young talent isn't, I think, amazing, but it's still really good, and they've still got the call there. But I just think some of those experienced players are so key to them that naturally, I'm even thinking about putting them in unlikely but potential for a flag, because look, the window is nearly done, I think. So I think now or never is a better sort of category for them. Collingwood, I think belong in one of these top 3 categories. In one vein, they are, look, the signings they've made, Houston, they've got Dacos is so fucking young. Like, they've got so much good young talent, but in the same vein, they've got these experienced heads, the Pendleburys, the Sidebottoms, the Jeremy Howes, that are towards the latter end of their career, and you know, even the likes of Tom Mitchell. I know they've gotten rid of players like Adams and stuff. They're a little bit old for me, and they're saying fuck the draft. We all know with their strategy with the Houston tradies, we don't want draft picks. We want fucking game winners, pretty much. I'm just calling my mic there. They want game winners, and that's what they got in Houston. I think it's one of these top 2. Is it now or never? Oh, this is a question. Can they win the flag when Pendles and Sidebottom aren't there? Oh, you know what? It's definitely, I think their premiership window is more open than Brisbane in the next 3-4 years, if that makes sense. You know, I'm trying to think of who's most likely to win a flag or 2 in the next 3-4 years. I think Collingwood are just a little bit more lucky. Now, I might move them up to here, but I haven't really thought about all the other teams yet, so we'll get back to that. Fremantle, I think, geez, maybe we're going to change this to the next 5 years. Because, we'll go 4 years. Who's guaranteed to win a flag in the next 4 years? Oh, this is the problem here. You know, I'm changing this back to 5 years, and I'm going to put Fremantle in there. And that might seem really dumb, but I think, no, in fact, that is really dumb. That is dumb. I was going to say Shea Bolton, Young, Sarong, Brayshaw, even Jackson, Darcy, looks a bit iffy. That core midfield is so young and already so good that who knows what that can arise to in the future. I think the problem with Fremantle is their forward. I mean, since Pav has retired, they need a Pav regen. Yes, they've got Josh Tracy in there as their key forward, but I don't see him and others around him being enough to warrant a guarantee for a flag. But I just think that midfield alone and some of their defensive talent, I think they are primed for a flag, Fremantle. And I think we might have to rearrange this, but maybe they go down to here for now. Geelong, wow. See, Geelong's such a hard one, because think about, okay, well, next year, or in 2025, they will definitely be a high chance. I mean, they were a few kicks off a grand final in 2024. They've drafted, they have drafted well, but they don't have any draft picks really. No high important ones. The way they do it is they are just fantastic at picking up these off-field, or like these what's the right word? The lesser knowns, you know, players from VFL clubs you don't know. How many times have we seen them pick up some random? I think Tim Kelly's the greatest example. How good is he? That was from Geelong, just, you know, thinking out the box. And then that's why they're a better club. They're a better run club than these three, but I think the old talent is really going to start to hurt them. They've obviously lost Parfitt, Rowan, delisted, Hawkins, Selwood the past few years, Dangerfield's getting old. But I think what Geelong do so well is the higher ups. They are so solid. My one minor concern with them is Chris Scott. He's been coaching for, nearly 15 years. I mean, surely he needs a break, right? Like, at what point, you know, Dimmer needed a break from Richmond. Clarko was kind of pushed out of Hawthorn, but, you know, he definitely needed a break. John Longmire, rumours are saying next year, at the end of the season, he's going to need a break. You know, it happens. Mick Malthouse needs a break. Like, people need breaks. Chris Scott is one of the more vocal coaches about burnout and how tough the job is. So it wouldn't surprise me if he was leaving in the next few years. But I think Geelong, just because of the history, I'm actually going to put them here. I think for a team that I always think has such shit young talent, Graham Myers, Max Holmes, Tanner Brun, they've brought in Bailey Smith. They've got this amazing ability to find gems and produce gems. And I think I backed them in for a flag more than the three teams below them. Collingwood, I'm pretty equal with, so you know what? We'll move Collingwood in there for now, and we'll move on from there. Gold Coast. See, I'm also keeping into account the history. Obviously, Fremantle haven't won a flag in the history. Gold Coast have never even made finals. Dimmer is a really good strong point. They've drafted well. They've now got their forward line, I think, sorted. I think there's still some tweaks in their defensive system they need. And there's definitely some leadership. I think they lack a lot of leadership on field. I think we'll put them in mid-tier for now. But look, the next 2 years, I don't see it. But in 3-4 years, I think their premiership window is starting to open. Maybe that's a better term. Opening window. Oh, that's too long. Opening. You know, the window is opening. And that's what we're going to put for Gold Coast. If the window is starting to open, they're maybe not as open as these other teams. And they're definitely not a guarantee for a flag. The Giants are a really tough one because a little bit like Geelong, they're a super well-run club, the Giants. Great higher-ups, great stability, quite opposite to Gold Coast throughout their histories. They're always in the finals, they're always doing really well. But I think the problem with the Giants is, once again, Hogan's getting on, even though he's in his prime right now, he's getting on. They've lost a lot of players in the off-season, and they're going to, unfortunately, because they're a new club, they're still going to struggle with departing players. So for me, they are not a guaranteed flag in the next 5 years. Will they be lucky to win a flag in the next 5 years? Is it now or never? Is their window quite open? Yes. Yes, it is. They draft so well. They just pick up good players. And I think I'm going to put them in the middle of these two. Super likely to win a flag. Adelaide, I think it's unlikely for Adelaide. I think their window is super shut right now. And I think it will slowly start to open, but some of the young talent, I just don't see it. In the next 5 years, I do not see this team winning a flag. I don't see it. They don't draft well. I'm not convinced on Matty Nicks. I'm not convinced on their strategy up in the higher ups. And overall, I would back the teams, 6 teams above them, to winning a flag in the next 5 years, way ahead of Adelaide. Carlton. Carlton is a funny one. It is now or never for Carlton. Quite literally. It is absolutely now or never. They have to win a flag in the next 3 years or it's done. It is done. You got Cripps in his prime, Curnow, who's still young, got loads of footy left, but he's in his prime. Mackay's in his prime, fucking Doherty, injuries, but I still think he's got great football left. I think loads of their core players are in their prime. Yes, they've got the likes of Sam Walsh, who's still really young, and some other players, but I think from Carlton fans, and I've heard a few online saying, and I agree with them, if they don't get close to a flag the next few years, it's game. I honestly think this is it. This is it for them. It's now or never. The premiership window is open, and I think it's not as open as it's more open than Fremantle now, but in 3-4 years' time, it'll be more shut than Fremantle. So it's all up to you where you put those two teams. Hawthorn, guaranteed. Honestly, such a guaranteed for a flag. I'm so convinced. They're so young, so exciting. Sam Mitchell is a tactical genius. He is such a smart football and IQ coach. We saw that as a player. I didn't think he would transition this quick, but he has been so phenomenal. He's galvanised the team. The trades are now coming in. I think it's honestly such a guaranteed for a flag. Such a guarantee. Yes, so we'll move on to their rivals though, Essendon, who are quite the opposite. Right now, Essendon's window is shut. You know, they're not going to win right now. Do they have good young talent? Yeah, I think they do. Sometimes I'm a bit confused, like Elijah, Success, is that his name? Ben Hobbs. There's some other, you know, back. Remember when they drafted, who were the three, having a fucking mental blank here. They drafted like Harry Jones and the two other, Perkins and tall guy on the wing. We all thought, wow, Essendon drafted really well, all this young talent. I think that they are impressing me. And I will always say this, as someone who despises Essendon, Brad Scott is a phenomenal coach. And Zach Merritt, who's still got loads of football left, is an outstanding footballer, a generational footballer. He's insanely good. I swear to God, he's insane. Anyway, we'll stop the glazing there, but those two things, and it combined with some of the young talent, I think they're in this category here. And you guys might laugh at me, but Essendon, this off-season, they've shown their strategy. They're saying, we're not picking up for the now. This is Brad Scott. Brad Scott's idea is, let's stop this. Let's go to the draft, have a good, strong draft hand, build up this young talent, and in 3-4 years' time, you just wait. It's not quite a guarantee for me, but it's definitely, I think, more likely than not, they'll win a flag in the next 5 years. Melbourne, it's so shut. It is so unbelievably shut. Oliver wants to go, Petrarca wants to go. Their best player gone, is getting super old now and more injury prone. They've lost key players like Neil Bullen. They've lost good young talent throughout the years. It's done. I think it's done. I think their premiership window is absolutely shot. I think this, in 2025, that is their absolutely last chance to win a flag. And after that, I think it's done. I think it's honestly done. And we're not going to speak much more on Melbourne there. North Melbourne, is a flag in the next 5 years guaranteed? No. And my problem with North Melbourne is, as much as he's arguably the best coach in the game and has been for decades, Alistair Clarkson, does he still have that tactical nuance? Does he have the edge over coaches anymore? I don't know. I feel like sometimes I watch Clarko and I think, does he really, that time off, has he just lost that ability to galvanise a young group like he did with Hawthorn and outclass and outcoach the rest of the competition? Their talent is so fucking good, but the harsh reality of North Melbourne, and I don't think they're going to get close in the next 5 years. We'll put them unlikely, but I just think LDU's looking likely to leave, and I think some of their young talent they're just going to leave because they're so bad right now. It's one of these two. I'll reorder it for now. Later, but for now we'll put them in unlikely, but there's a potential for a flag. The window is slightly opening in the next few years, and I think that's true. Port Adelaide, geez, it's a bit overdone this, you know, now or never, lucky to win a flag, but that is a common category of these footy teams. Geez, it's hard. So with Port Adelaide, and I also fucking hate Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide have an amazing core, bit like Fremantle, that midfield. Rosie, Butters, Drew, Horne-Francis. Great midfield. Forward line, Georgiades, Lukosius, who can go back as well, and Todd Marshall, also pretty talented. Defence, Aliri Lee is really good, but where's Radigalia play? You've lost Jonas, Clury. I think they need a few more, and they've lost Houston actually. They've lost a good young All-Australian defender, so I think their premiership window is open, but it's just not as open as some people think. Ken Hinckley is going to be leaving soon as well. Yeah. We don't know how Josh Carr, if he coaches him, is going to do. Richmond, it's shut. It is shut. This season was shut. 2025 is shut. 26 is shut. It's going to take a good 3, 4, 5 years for us to even think about winning a flag again. And that's think about, you know? And that's coming from a Richmond fan. I do think if someone had a gun to my head and say, okay, who's most likely to win a flag in the next 5 years, Melbourne or Richmond? I just think Richmond, in 4 or 5 years' time, will have all these great young draft picks coming through. I just think we'll be more likely to win it than Melbourne. St Kilda, geez, they're always a tough one. In one vein, they're picking up players like McRae, replacement of Billings. McRae, who was this old player, and Brad Hill, and who's been amazing for them. And I'm sure McRae will be really good as well. I'm not sure where St Kilda will ever be at. I don't look at their list and think, wow, the young talent's insane. And look, when I do the tier list, I'll have do my research real quick about young talent, but I don't see amazing young talent there that warrants them. I think their talent is more in the mid to latter ages. So I think the premiership window is shut as fuck. Sydney is a really hard one. Geez, I think the problem with Sydney is Longmire. What's he going to do? What is John going to do? Because if he goes, then you drop them down here. For now, we don't know what he's going to do, so let's assume they're probably guaranteed for the next 5 years to win a flag. West Coast, I think this all depends on Harley Reid. It's insane to be putting that pressure on someone. To say that, hey, this fucking second-year player if he leaves the next few years, he will be the reason you're a premiership favourite or not, or he's the reason you'll win finals or not. Is on one play is insanity, but only God knows what Harley Reid's going to do. Yeah, who fucking knows? I don't know, but you know, it's always the rumours about him, and I think for that, if he was to stay, I think in the next 5 years, they could seriously win something. Oscar Allen, Waterman, Harley Reid, some other midfielders coming through. Defence, a bit shaky, but we're going to put it in here for now. If Harley Reid goes, probably there, but I just think West Coast losing Barras. Coach, question marks about Mini, although he did really well for Richmond. Andrew McQualter, that is. Let's go down here for now. And the Dogs, also down here. I'm looking at this tier list now, actually, and I'm thinking, well, let's talk about the Dogs really quick. The Dogs, they've lost so many good young players. They've lost Bailey Smith, Dunkley. When does it stop? Bontempelli is getting to that age where, well, he's only got a few years of peak Bont footy left. And once that goes, honestly, I don't think the Dogs have a chance. I think this, in 2025, will be one of their last years to be that sort of underdog. Oh, they could win it, you know. I do not see it otherwise. What I want to do, two things I want to do now is reordering. We got to move someone down to unlikely but potential for a flag. I'm going to be moving the Giants down there. The reason I want to move the Giants down there is just because players are leaving, and I think that's always a concern for them. Now, this does scream recency bias, right? Hawthorn made finals, Geelong made finals, Sydney made finals, Brisbane, Carlton, Port Adelaide made finals. The only two teams that didn't make finals in 2024 are the Dogs and the Giants, who I don't have in there. And for how many? The bottom four teams in 2024 being Melbourne, Richmond, North and West Coast. I got 3 in the bottom 2 categories. So what I might do is have a little think about it. I'm gonna go and analyze and research some young talent, and let's come back to it. Okay, so I've had a look at some of the young talent and I've come to a verdict. Now, first of all, I think Adelaide, upon looking at some of the young talent, they are actually a decent club with decent young talent. West Coast, I've overrated their talent. The Dogs I've already talked about. I think Geelong, we can move them a little bit down here. I'm comfortable with these 3. Carlton, move them in the middle there, but I'm comfortable with these top dogs. Do I need to move any? I think North have a good young list. The Giants, I think they all have a decent young list and a young core. But what I want to do is make this tier list even. So I'm going to have to move someone down from this category, and it just has to be Essendon, unfortunately. I want to get them in there, but for simplicity, geez, does Adelaide need to go in there? Whose window is opening? In the next 5 years, I'm asking myself this, who do I see most likely to win a flag out of these guys? You know, Essendon, Giants, Gold Coast, North, Adelaide. I think in like 3, 4, 5 years' time, these teams will all be pretty good. We'll keep Essendon in there. I think the Giants, with the higher ups, you've got to keep them in there. North players leave. Gold Coast, you can never trust them. And Adelaide, I'm not convinced on the higher ups or Matty Nix. So I think any of these 3 teams can go down. I am going to be moving. The trajectory of Gold Coast is really impressive. Adelaide, the trajectory I'm not so sure on. North, if LDU leaves. Let's just keep it at that, you know? Because I honestly don't know who to move down from there. But this is a weird one. This is is your team's premiership window open, shut, closed? And a bit of a mix of that and in 5 years, how likely are they to win a flag? And that's what I've come up with.